Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour. You know what? Where's Hawk at? Listener discretion advised. Pansy.
Welcome to the Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour. I am Electro, of course. And Bono is still out of the office, but no need to panic, everybody. The Movie Power Hour runs strong. The miles per hour they're racking up. The miles are racking up. The power is strong.
You need to stop.
The hours are here. We're here for at least an hour. And what are we doing again? We are coming back with our Chick Flick Extravaganza. We're not done here.
Nope.
Lil Lil has returned, of course.
Here.
She could not stay away. So, when last we spoke, Lily, we went through some of the 70s and the 80s. Like you said last time, we probably missed out on a lot of movies, but I mean, I feel like
it was a good sample.
We essentially covered the important stuff of the 80s. And now we're going to go into the 90s, our bread and butter, you know. I've always thought that, and, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I always thought the 80s is the worst time for movies.
Really?
Yeah, I think the 80s has the worst movies. And I'm not saying that there aren't the outliers out there. There's obviously good movies were made. We just talked about a lot of them in our previous episode. But I feel like it was a weak decade for film. Like 60s and 70s were very good.
Yep.
80s we went down a little bit. But we came back strong.
We got it down in the 90s.
The 90s was a great time for films, and we're gonna get right to it with a not so great
Well,
Pretty Woman. The year was 1990.
let's preface this real quick with your hatred for Julia Roberts, and I need to get into it for just a quick sec. What is your problem with her?
She, unlike the pretty woman prostitute in this movie, sucks. I don't know why the world was fascinated with her, to be honest. I think she was America's sweetheart.
And she made a movie called America's Sweetheart. That's kind of narcissistic, right?
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't the sweetheart. She was now a part of the America's Sweethearts in the she was the assistant to the to America's Sweetheart.
Yeah, who was her sister.
Yes.
And John Cusack's in it, and you love John Cusack.
I love John Cusack. So I watched a lot of these Julia Roberts movies with you guys when I was a kid, as we discussed in our last episode. I grew up with sisters, and
we would torture you with chick flicks.
The chick flick was put upon me. Okay, that was my cross to bear. You know, Jesus had his thing. I had the chick flick. Whatever Jesus went through, big sacrifice and all. But I had to sit through
a lot of Julia Roberts.
And then, so I think this is something else too, that, like, you know, I've been watching movies forever, right? Like, I used to just take things on fact or face value. Hey, Denzel Washington is in this movie. It's a good movie.
Right.
No matter what. Denzel Washington's in it.
I'm in.
And it wasn't till, I don't know, I must have been a teenager when I was like, wait, Denzel Washington can be in shitty movies.
Yeah. Which is
But when I was a little kid, I could watch a shitty Denzel Washington movie and be like, this motherfucker is good. He's crushing it. And I bet this movie won Oscars. I'm talking about Virtuosity here. Do you remember Virtuosity?
I don't remember Virtuosity.
It's a super high concept, like, science fiction film with Russell Crowe as the bad guy.
What?
And Denzel Washington is like a death row fucking inmate or whatever. And then they put him in these, like, virtual reality thing. It's like really science fiction.
Okay.
And
Is it terrible?
Yes. Yes, it's very terrible. But when I was a kid, I was like, Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe are in this movie. Obviously, it's quality. You know?
Yeah, they're going to crush it.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, watching that, I was like, whoa, like, this movie's
They're not
silly as fuck.
There's no crushing.
And Russell Crowe is
handsome.
I mean, yeah, that's not where I was going.
Okay.
But of course, but he is doing some stuff in this movie where it's just like, whoa, dude, what were you thinking? You know,
okay, well, now I'm going to watch
being
it.
so over the top and just like so weird. But then I think the same thing applies to Julia Roberts. As a child, I didn't question that she was a good actress. Yeah, I was just like, this is Julia Roberts, Oscar-winning Julia Roberts. You know, just give those things away. It's not like Rami Malek has an Oscar right now at home.
Why does it always go back to
Liliana.
Rami Malek? Emmanuel.
Rami Malek. I don't want...
We don't have time for this shit.
There is injustice in this world. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of war.
Right.
A lot of injustice.
Sure.
But how I truly know that this life is not fair
is because
one Rami Malek has an Oscar for acting
in Bohemian Rhapsody, which he did really well.
That movie sucks, and he
the movie
sucks
may suck,
in it.
but he was good in it. I don't agree with you, but we're not here to talk about Rami Malek.
Now we are. Fuck this chick flick thing. This is now the Rami Malek sucks podcast. Okay, we're rebranding.
I do not agree with you, and we are not going to discuss this any further. But I agree with the analogy that you're saying that maybe she wasn't deserving of this Oscar.
Erin Brockovich.
I recently watched it.
Tell me.
She did not deserve that Oscar.
Okay. Is Erin Brockovich? And it's a Steven Soderbergh film. I think it's pretty...
Her acting is not superior.
Right.
And that sucks. Because this is when I do want you to look up who was running against her for these Oscars that year.
Let's do it.
Because
I'm glad you asked. Because
it's pretty fucked up what she won an Oscar for. For what? For putting her tits out and
she shows her tits in this movie?
No, but she wears a pusher bra the whole time.
I was like, wait, do I have to watch her?
Never mind. She deserves an Oscar.
Whoa. We're being a little hard on her now.
I don't think she's ever shown her tits.
That's what I was saying. I was like, wait a minute. What happened? Did I miss it? No wonder. No wonder she has it. Okay.
Crouching Tiger. Wait, what are we watching? What is this?
Is this not
winners and nominees?
Oh, wait.
This is the score.
Hold on. Shit. 2001.
And this is we need to talk about it because we're going to talk about a lot of Julia Roberts in this episode, and we need to just get into why you hate her so much. But this might just be it.
Okay.
Oh, maybe there was no good movies that year.
Wait.
I mean, Juliette Binoche.
Okay, so we had Joan Allen for The Contender.
Never saw
I've
it.
Never seen it, but that's a Daniel Day-Lewis movie, I'm sure.
It's good.
Sure, it's good. Juliette Binoche.
Yeah,
for Chocolat.
I love her.
It's lovely. Like they say it in I Love You. It's just lovely.
It's lovely. She's great. She's a great actress.
Laura Linney for You Can Count on Me. I've also never seen that film.
Right, neither.
And Ellen Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream, which is I've never even fully watched that film either. But because I've tried to on a couple of occasions, and I get so fucking sad. It was like I'm just a bitch now, you know. I'm
right. Well, we're old.
And I believe she plays Jared Leto's mom, who this movie's about, I think, them being addicted to heroin.
Addicts, yeah.
And in it, he goes and like steals her TV for drugs and stuff, and she's just like
taking it.
Like she's like, okay, but like just be safe or whatever. And I was like, fuck. I just watched that scene and I'm like, I can't.
Okay, well then now I feel like she deserved the Oscar.
And I believe from what I know of the movie, she ends up becoming an addict herself. I don't know how it ends up there and stuff. But anyways, well, those are the nominees. Julia Roberts won. I don't know. I say you could. I've never seen them, but I say you could have given it to Joan Allen or Ellen Burstyn.
No, I agree, and I think maybe that's what it is. It's like maybe Erin Brockovich was like the popular movie, and she was the she's like the actress that I guess people are rooting for to get an Oscar. It can be very political. You're right.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe this year was a little light on the like masterpieces that came out. It was not a great year for movies, maybe.
I don't know. People love this movie. Steven Soderbergh is a fantastic director. Well, I'm sure it's a good movie. I've never seen it.
It's a good movie. It's a great story.
Right. It's a true story.
It's a true story about a woman who literally like gets all of these people restitution for basically being poisoned.
Right. And you know what I love?
What do you love?
That we're supposed to be talking about 90s rom-coms, and we're talking about a 2000 movie. But whatever.
It is what it is. She got an Oscar.
We're talking about Julia Roberts, and I came to you with my thought. I watched, as we'll get into it, Notting Hill is one of those movies that you guys took me to the movie theater to watch, and that was one that I did enjoy.
You're welcome.
I love that movie.
It's hilarious.
And grew up loving that movie.
It's corny, but it's hilarious.
And we would watch it all the time. I was a child. I didn't doubt anything. I was like, this is quality, right? And
I think that's when you kind of fell in love with Hugh Grant, if we could be honest.
I mean, if I have to be honest, I will be honest. And
those blue eyes.
Anyways, so I rewatched one day, and this was already a while ago. Years have passed since I rewatched Notting Hill one day on my own, being like, you know what? Let's throw on Notting Hill. And I watched it, and I was like, I think Julia Roberts is bad at. Like, I think she's not a good actress. I don't feel like she acts very much. She just has this stupid little like stone-faced look or whatever, and she has some charisma. I'll give her that. She has a charisma and her like famous laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think she's not a good actress. And I made the realization watching a movie that I fucking loved as a kid, and then went years without watching, and then rewatched it, and I was like, wait, I don't think she's a good actress. And then I have since watched other Julia Roberts movies, and I'm just like, you know what? We got sold some fucking bullshit with this Julia Roberts. She killed Matthew Perry.
Well, that's for another day.
It's for another day. And Pretty Woman is a movie that I do remember watching a lot with you guys, with you and Rosie.
I think that was one of the first movies Rosie bought.
You guys got it on VHS, and
the good old days.
Yeah. And those are like peak days of me spending a lot of time with you guys.
Yeah,
in particular.
I think it was a time like the 90s was a time when Rosie was still single and like everyone still lived at home. And Rosie and I had a TV with a VCR, and so that's when Rosie actually started buying movies. And unfortunately for you, they were all chick flicks.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of time with us, like you said. And so there were times where like you were overruled by two very feisty women that wanted nothing but to laugh and cry watching these stories.
Right. So Pretty Woman, I think I never liked this movie, but I sat through it a lot with you guys. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was just my horniness or whatever, because I knew it was about prostitutes.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I was just like, these are like the most noble prostitutes ever put on film. Like, you know what would have made Pretty Woman a good movie?
Yeah.
Because they do show Julia Roberts in her hooking outfit, in her little blonde wig or something.
And her boots.
Yeah, and like cars are pulling up or something. I can't remember what happens. I don't remember her getting in a car with anybody, right?
Well, she eventually gets in a car with Richard Gere.
Yes, okay. The rich man with the purest heart of gold.
But driving like a Porsche or something.
Anyways, what would have made this movie good is if there was a scene like that, right? Or somebody picks her up and she's like, all right, like $100 to come in my fucking mouth or something.
Oh my.
Because that's the fucking, look.
That's a prostitute.
If you fucking made a movie about prostitutes.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. If you don't want to fucking be about a prostitute, then just be like, okay, she was just like a fucking hot dog stand woman or something. Like, it could have easily just been that. Richard Gere just saw a girl selling hot dogs and was like, fuck it, I'm going to just take this pretty hot dog stand woman with a heart of gold and fucking and make her my pretty woman.
Why are you ruining every fucking chick flick?
Because that's my issue with this movie. The prostitution in it is bullshit.
Maybe she should have been a stripper, right?
Sure. Like Jess says on New Girl at the Time. Stripper with a heart of gold.
Right.
Like,
what does the synopsis say?
Let's see. Edward, a rich entrepreneur, hires Vivian, a prostitute, to accompany him to a few social events. Trouble ensues when he falls in love with her and they try to bridge the gap between
their worlds. That's disgusting.
This movie was directed by Gary Marshall, who,
bless his heart. I love his movies.
Who goes on to direct Julia Roberts in a lot of films.
And then brings them back together in Runaway Bride.
This movie stars Richard Gere, of course, Julia Roberts, and one
Jason Alexander,
George Costanza.
And he's not a good friend in this one, but maybe he's right. He's like, bitch, you're falling in love with a prostitute?
He tries to fuck her, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
I'd be like, oh, I'm a bad friend for trying to fuck the prostitute. Fuck you, man.
I am trying to.
You brought a prostitute. I'm sorry if I tried to fuck her.
I am supporting her.
The last time you brought a prostitute, we fucked her. Why not this one? Anyways, that's my biggest.
The chick from Just Shoot Me's in it.
Laura San Giacomo.
She's her prostitute friend.
Yeah. I feel like she's banging out there, but you never see
them banging.
Julia Roberts like coming out of a fucking car like
post fuck.
Yeah, like just being like fuck, like that guy
was rough.
That guy just made me fucking do some crazy shit, you know.
I'm gonna change my life.
Okay, see, this movie's rated R.
Yeah,
go for it, Gary Marshall, you fucking pussy. Fucking talk about Julia Roberts never talks about giving somebody head in this movie, I'm sure. She's just, or like being like, oh man, I've ran through so much dick or anything, right? Because if that was true, Richard Gere would have been like, get the hell out of here.
You are probably.
Don't touch me.
Do they even wear condoms? I mean, I hope they at least show some responsibility in this movie.
I hope so. If Richard Gere has any fucking sense. And again, he's like a rich guy in this movie, right? And just this, I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen it. I don't know when you last watched it. I don't know what drives him to go get a fucking prostitute and take her to his like work functions. He's like you said, he's in a Porsche. He doesn't have to go up to a hooker. He could just go out and meet somebody and be like,
go to a bar.
Yeah. He doesn't have to find the most perfect hooker that's never sucked a dick before in her life.
And there's a scene where she like goes and hides in the bathroom, right? And he thinks she's doing drugs, but it's because she's flossing because they just ate strawberries.
Ridiculous. She should have been doing cocaine and he should have been like, you know what? Line me up, bitch. Let's do a lot of coke, and then I'm probably gonna enter your asshole, okay?
You know what? We're gonna write Pretty Woman the way it was supposed to be written.
Yeah.
We'll call it Ugly Woman.
No, it'd be like, okay.
Okay looking woman.
Decent woman. Decent looking woman.
Decent if she's a prostitute.
Okay, average.
Okay, well, the name.
We'll workshop.
It's a working title. Okay. Let's move on.
Hold on. 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 65% Rotten Tomatoes score, 68% audience score. Should have been a 60-69. Come on, guys.
We couldn't get 1 more % to make this at least a little racy.
I know. Bullshit.
Bullshit. All right.
Let's talk about a good film.
Yes.
No. Father of the Bride. Fuck. Wait. I fucked up.
Why?
It's in 1991. It's the wrong
Okay,
order.
let's go back.
So now we're talking about it in our last episode. This was like your
my first movie.
chick flick. And if I think back on a chick flick that I remember watching a lot, it was Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this stars your man Patrick Swayze, of course, Demi Moore,
mm-hmm.
and who's the bad guy? What's that guy's name? His fucking friend that gets him killed by Willie Lopez.
He's not even on there. He's not even the star.
Of course, he's not the star. Tony Goldwyn.
He's Carl. And Whoopi Goldberg's in this.
Oh, I believe Whoopi Goldberg won an Oscar for this movie.
No.
I think so.
For Ghost?
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you that the Oscars are a sham.
Well, this movie, it's a classic, dude. And
it's a great movie.
It's a great movie, and it touches you in all the right places. And I didn't mean that in a dirty way. It's beautiful. Like, you know, it sucks because it breaks your heart knowing that they had such a beautiful relationship, and then it comes to an abrupt end when he's murdered. But, you know, it hits home in a lot of like ways about how like our loved ones never leave us, and you know, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I believe.
But it's a little silly, right?
She won Oscar in 1991 for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, good for her.
For playing Oda Mae Brown, of course. Oda Mae, who could forget?
She was very good in it. She was very good in it. I love this movie. There's nothing about it that I can complain about other than like the silly ghost stuff, you know. But
silly ghost stuff. This is the good stuff in the movie. The silly part is the clay fucking moment.
Oh, come on! Don't ruin it.
What's the song playing during that? It's like a very famous song.
Are you still mine? Something like that. Like, are you still mine?
That?
I need your love.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, of course, they're the perfect couple. They're meant for each other. They're so good. And they go out one night and they get mugged. But Patrick Swayze ain't gonna take no shit, but he can't take bullets.
That's true.
So he takes one in the gut, dies on the street, becomes a ghost, the titular ghost of the film, the ghost with the most, if you will. I don't want to step on Beetlejuice's toes here,
right?
But, you know, he was just like, you know what, I need to go find a sidekick, and he runs into Whoopi, and then they find out that Tony Goldwyn had him killed. He hired Willie Lopez. And he was just like, bro, I just wanted you to steal his wallet, not ice the motherfucker.
Right.
But Willie, you know, he doesn't listen. And yeah, so it is an eternal love battle in the afterlife, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah, this is a movie that, again, when I was a kid, when it gets to the end and they have their like goodbye, I would always like be like,
yeah.
like,
no. If I still watch this to this day, that ending will still make me cry.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those movies that, despite how silly it is, when you think about the movie, it's silly as fuck. It does make you think, man. It does make you think like, damn, dude, I could be out with my main girl, Allie.
And Willie Lopez.
And Willie Lopez comes in and you're reluctant. You don't surrender your wallet immediately. Willie don't play that shit.
Or what if like you're just like having a good time, you've had a few drinks and you're just like careless. Like remember the time at the Fox when we basically
almost got shot?
Because we're silly goofs
because we were drunk. Walking back to our car.
We were being chismosos.
And we see a fight erupt. And we're like, oh, let's go check out the fight. And then somebody fucking got shot. And we were so casual about it. We're like, oh, okay, well, let's leave then. They're shooting.
You literally grabbed me by the shoulder, turned us around, and you're like, all right, let's go. And we just strolled off, even though there was potentially a murder happening right before our eyes.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
I'm just saying, we could have all... It's a movie that makes you think about whatever.
Your mortality.
Your mortality, and also, like, leaving somebody you love. In
the middle of like the goodness of your love.
Yeah, where it's cut short, not because you guys broke up, but because Willie Lopez put one in your belly.
Right when you're in it, when you're making pottery together.
And now fucking Ghost has to live with the fact that Demi Moore's gonna get fucking plowed by somebody at some point.
And he's gonna... Well, he let go. He went to heaven.
He moves on, I guess.
He goes to heaven.
But you think in heaven they don't give you the news? Hey, I hate to bring... I know you're having a good time over here on your little cloud. It's a nice cloud you got up in heaven, but I got a telegram here.
Stop. No one's going to tell him, okay?
No,
because he's that wonderful.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on from Ghost to Love Potion number 9. Oh, wait, no. We're doing Father of the Bride. 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 70% Rotten Tomatoes score, and 70% audience score.
What a good time this movie is.
Steve Martin's the best. Martin Short is one of the funniest men on the planet.
They are the dream team. I don't know if you're even curious to watch Only Murders in the Building, but it's very good. They have not lost their touch, dude.
No,
they really haven't. But this is just, they are so good together. Martin Short as Franck.
He's hilarious.
And he, they're just like this dynamic duo that like have a love-hate relationship with each other in the midst of his daughter, very young daughter, deciding that she wants to get married.
Right. And that's what this movie's about, right? Steve Martin has to let go of his
little baby girl,
and she's going to go out and get married. And this is one of those movies that I remember watching a lot as a kid, along with the sequel, of course.
Who I think we
watched way more. We watched way more.
And maybe I love it a little more.
Yeah, well, we watched it a lot as kids, so it's in our brains. But
in our hearts.
Yeah. But this is a movie that, much like Ghost, when you get to the end of it, it gets you choked up. Father of the Bride always fucking got to me, man. As a little kid who had no children or anything to let go of. You know what? I think
that's why you don't want to have children.
No.
If we get to the bottom of it, you're never going to want to let go of your little girl.
Now this is like therapy going on right now on this podcast. You know why I think it made me cry? Because I think I would think about Rosie getting married and leaving.
Aww. Well, yeah.
And I knew that was going to happen one day, and Father of the Bride taught me that.
Okay, well, we're going to call her after this.
Yeah.
I never wanted to lose you. It's very sad. The end is very sad because, like, not only is this man being what a girl dad should be from beginning to end, where you're just... One, you're going to agree. At first, he doesn't agree, right? He's like doing everything to try to talk her out of getting married, which I feel like that's a dad.
They play basketball in their backyard.
They're homies.
They have, first of all, this movie, they have like a fucking great, perfect house with a fucking big
he's like
backyard.
A rich man.
Like they have like the ideal life. You know?
And he's, that's like like a daddy's girl movie. Like she is the daddy's girl, and now there's this man that's gonna take the place of her dad, and that's a very hard pill to swallow. So when he finally gives in and plans this dream wedding for his daughter, with Franck, who is just like this very like flamboyant gay. I don't know what accent that is. I don't know if they ever explain it, like where he's from, but it is so hilarious, like them just bickering about the details of the wedding, and meanwhile, fucking, he's like breaking the bank, you know. And in the end, he doesn't even get to enjoy his daughter's wedding, and then it's still very sad in the end where he barely gets to just like say goodbye to her because he was just so consumed with giving her her perfect day.
Right.
And I mean, if that's not a dad, I don't know what is.
I don't know. Steve Martin.
What a guy.
Yeah, great film. We love it.
We
and
love
its
it.
sequel. Moving on. We were going to talk about Love Potion number 9, but I think we should skip it. 1992. It has the lowest ratings
It's
on
not
all
a good
of
movie,
it.
but it is one of Sandra Bullock's first movies, and it's a silly movie about taking a potion and becoming hot.
Yeah, that's a good message.
It's
kids.
like everyone just wants to be hot, you know?
Of course they do. Let's move along to 1993. This isn't quite a chick flick, but
No.
it's chick flick adjacent, I will
Sure.
say. It's What's Eating Gilbert Grape. 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb, 90% Rotten Tomatoes, and 89% audience score. We used to watch the shit out of this movie
Yeah.
when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a big softie, I guess, because this movie almost would make me cry too because of Arnie.
Yeah, well, Leonardo DiCaprio was nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Right.
He was great. I mean, he was also like a special needs kid, teenager, but very much with like a kid personality. And Gilbert is like
Played by Johnny, the always loved Johnny Depp, who's never done anything wrong.
No, he is innocent. We love him. We never stopped loving him. We never will.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie is about Johnny Depp, who is just,
Can't catch a fucking break.
he lives at home with his special needs brother,
And his obese mother.
his obese mom. He has like one sibling that seems to have her shit together. His oldest, I don't know if she's older than him.
I think she is, yeah.
And then he has a teenage sister who, I mean, whatever.
That-
No fault of hers, but she's a teenager, so she's just like a little fucker.
Yeah.
And homie's just, what's eating Gilbert Grape, Lily?
Well, I think what's eating him is that he's very consumed with like the people that he loves.
his family's issues.
Yeah,
and
so it's
stuff.
like his mother is depressed because she's obese and like just got to a point where she couldn't take it back, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that their father commits suicide in their home, and so that must have been very traumatic. They don't really get into it, but talk about like breaking a family into pieces, right? And a mother that never recovers from it, and then the children end up becoming the parents. And
Yeah.
so Gilbert and his sister basically take on the role of basically being the parents.
Yeah, and Gilbert just wants to live his life.
Yeah, and he can't.
And he does not have the heart to leave his family.
He has his brother.
He can't leave Arnie. He loves Arnie, even though Arnie like holds him back like a lot, and yeah, great film. But then along comes Juliette Lewis and gives him a little glimmer of what perhaps a life away from his family would be, and to go and fall in love and travel the world or the country or something.
And I think I don't know, maybe this hits home for us too, because we're almost like
we are Gilbert Grape.
we are because like our family is like almost too close. Like we're too close for our own good, but there's nothing we can do about it. And this movie talks about like being able to kind of live your life. Like one day your parents are going to be gone, and you can actually live your own life and still know that like your family is always going to be there, right? Because in the end, like Arnie's still with him, and I'm sure he'll see his sisters, but he's gonna He's going to be with Juliette Lewis, as he should be.
Right. But Ian Gilbert, great. What a classic.
What a classic. What a great movie.
1993. Damn, we had a couple 1993 movies here. Sleepless in Seattle is number...
Well, he's sleepless.
In Seattle. 6.8 out of 10. This is low. This is much lower ratings than Gilbert Grape. 75% Rotten Tomato score and 75% audience score. I feel like I've never seen this movie, but this is supposed to be one of those like
it's a classic.
Quintessential chick flicks, right?
It is, but it is what it is. So Sleepless in Seattle, widower. He has a small son. He's never really been successful at finding a replacement for, the love of his life, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And one night he calls into this radio show and talks about it. And so they call him Sleepless in Seattle. It's like, oh, this is Sleepless in Seattle.
What's the name of the radio show?
No, they call the callers that, to keep their anonymity.
All right.
So he lives in Seattle and he's sleepless. He can't go to sleep. He's thinking about, his life and life after his wife being gone. And his son happens to listen to what he's saying. And so then now his son is on this mission to find him the woman of his dreams. Mm-hmm. And everyone they're just like, oh, this man. So then Meg Ryan listens to this radio show, and she's engaged to what's his name? Bill Pullman,
the president
of the United States of America. She's engaged to him, and he's just this square, right? You hate to say it, but it's he's not interesting. He's just the average nice guy. Mm-hmm. And she listens to this show of this man talking about his feelings, and she falls in love with him.
Wow.
And so anyway, Annie is her name. She writes to him, and then the son gets involved and he writes back. So he's trying to get them together. Mm-hmm. In the end, what happens? They end up together.
They're not sleepless in Seattle.
No, they're in love. And they meet in the Empire State Building. It's very, rom-com. There's another movie that they're we should meet at the Empire State Building in this movie. It's very romantic. But there's bumps in the road. Rita Wilson's in it, who is actually Tom Hanks' wife in real life.
Did they meet in it? Were they already married?
I don't know. Maybe they were already married. It's the 90s. It's probably around the time. Yeah. It's good. It's a good movie. It's a feel-good movie.
Right.
I guess it gives widowers hope.
Oh, good. They need hope out there, those widowers.
With young children? That's kind of hard, right?
All right, I was trying to find out when they got
married. Who cares? Moving on.
Move on. Groundhog Day.
Mr. Bill Murray, eh?
It's also one of those that, it's probably not a chick flick, but it is a love story. And it's Bill Murray who plays the ultimate weatherman douchebag. Mm-hmm. And they go to this town to cover the Groundhog Day, of course. And, some shit happens and the world decides to teach Bill Murray a lesson. When you're that big of a douchebag, I think the world's like, you know what? You're going to relive this day forever until you learn your lesson. And great movie. Hilarious. Directed by Harold Ramis, I believe. I watched this, I think, in middle school for the first time. I watched so many movies that I had really no business watching or anything, Left Alone or around that time, or not really being watched.
Yeah.
And I had cable, and back in those days, you watched whatever was on TV. We didn't have the streaming. So if fucking Groundhog Day started, it's just all right, here we go.
That's what we're watching.
So I watched it by myself as basically a child, being I don't know if I like this. It's just Bill Murray character. He's a bit of an asshole. Mm-hmm. But, as he keeps reliving the day, he kind of realizes at first he takes advantage and, he fucks every woman that he can. And then after a while, he starts to go crazy, not being able to escape this day. And, you know, he realizes that he's in love with his coworker, I believe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a weird movie. Like, I think it's a good movie, but it's one I do wrestle with because I'm like, I don't know if this guy deserves a happy ending. He's like basically forced into becoming a good man. He never would have done it on his own.
Well, you know, you're just ruining all of these classics in one podcast, but I think you're right.
And I always feel weird that he gets his happy ending and he gets like this perfect girl or whatever. And, you know, by the end of it, yes, sure, he does appreciate her and now will likely be in a healthy relationship with her. But did he deserve to be in this happy ass situation? I don't know. I mean, we might have to do a Groundhog
We may
Day.
never know, but we might. And we can do like what's the other one that we really love? That's kind of a Groundhog Day. Palm Springs.
Oh yeah, Palm Springs. Not anywhere as good as Groundhog Day, but it's funny.
Good.
Let's see. Next is Lily favorite, of course, Legends of the Fall in 1994.
Listen, buddy, we're not going to do this justice in this episode.
No, we'll just briefly mention it and tease an episode that will come hopefully soon. We're going to watch Legends of the Fall, which was probably Lily's favorite movie for a really long time.
I mean, yeah. And it's the reason I fell in love with Brad Pitt.
I think it's the reason many people fell in love with Brad Pitt. And I can't wait to... When's the last time you watched it? Again, this comes up a lot. We talk about Legends of the Fall a lot. You defend it till death. I told you that I watched it a few years ago, and I'm like, this is like not a good movie. And Lily has the way she views it, you know.
I hate Susanna.
She hates Susanna, and I rewatched it, and I was like, wait a second. I think Susanna is very... Like, the way Lily always painted this movie to me was that Susanna was the worst woman ever and came and ruined this family. But I feel like Susanna is so a victim. But whatever, we'll get into it.
Okay, let's just give it, like, in a nutshell. This is a story about three brothers that are being raised by their father. Like, their mother was not present. Like, she bailed at some point. She wanted to live a city life. And, like, these guys are very much being raised, you know, like, what would you call it? Like, kind of like, it's like a Western setting, right? Like, they're being raised, like, in the boonies. They ride horses and they hunt bears. Like, it's very, they're actually, like, growing up with also, like, a Native American family. So they have, like, a lot of Native American roots and, like, respect, like, their traditions.
Yeah, this is... You're scratching. You're fucking describing the whole movie.
Well, I'm just trying to paint the picture. So it's about three brothers, and Anthony Hopkins is their dad, and he's very great in it. And this woman comes into their lives, and she plows through all three brothers.
They plow through her. Okay.
Well, she gave them consent, so...
How much consent did women really have back then?
We'll get into it, but...
Anyway, this movie has a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 59% Rotten Tomatoes score, but all the wet pussies out there gave it an 87% audience score. This is a movie you made me watch a lot. I definitely liked it as a kid, and whatever. I think there's quality in this movie, but I think it's a pretty stupid movie, and you view it. So that's why I always ask you, when's the last time you watched it? Because I feel like
I've seen it.
I know you've seen it.
I've seen it recently.
Yeah, and you're like, yes, Susanna.
Team Tristan all the way.
All right. Well, we're gonna we're gonna put a pin in this. 1994 also had It Could Happen to You, 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 73% Rotten Tomatoes score, 54% audience score. Not very good here.
It wasn't a popular movie. It was the first thing I ever saw Nicolas Cage in, and Rosie Perez is also in this.
I've never seen this movie.
So Nicolas Cage is a cop. He's a New York City cop. He's married to Rosie Perez. They live a normal life, blue collar life, and he goes to a diner one day, and the waitress is just going through a hard time. I think she's going through a divorce. She has no money. She's just, she's going through hard shit. This guy happens to not have enough money to leave this woman a tip. And so she's just like, you know what? Fuck, just continue to shit on me because I don't even have enough money to fucking pay my rent. But here you are, not even able to give me a tip after I just served you. And he's just like, you know what? I just bought a lottery ticket, girl. I'll tell you what. If I win the lottery, I will give you half of my winnings. And guess what, dude?
He wins a lot.
He wins the fucking lottery. And he doesn't just win like a small lottery. He wins millions and millions of dollars. And that's when greed comes into play, because initially it's like this beautiful story about how he fulfills his promise to this waitress, and then she becomes a millionaire overnight. But then Rosie Perez is greedy. And she's just like, hold the fucking phone. We don't owe this bitch half of our shit.
Well, I mean, does Rosie Perez maybe have a point? Give her a tip, asshole. Don't give her half of our fucking winnings.
So it just becomes a thing of, then Rosie Perez, she basically fucks them over and takes all the money because she just feels like she shouldn't have, she deserved all that money. And then she ends up with another rich man. So she's just a greedy bitch. It ends happily for them because they fall in love, and the people love their story so much that they all send them money.
What?
I know. What a story.
What a story.
And they open up their own restaurant and they live happily ever after.
Beautiful. What a beautiful tale. It could happen to you.
It could.
Next, we have another VHS classic, A Walk in the Clouds, 1995. 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, 46% Rotten Tomatoes score. But a couple of wet pussies out there give this a 75% audience score.
Keanu was hot in this one.
I guess, yeah. This is
his worst acting.
This is when, you start to notice, or when I started to notice, wait, there is such thing as a bad actor.
God.
Like I said, when I was a kid, we just watched things, and I was just like, movies are just good, right? Everybody in the movies is good, and movies are good. These are all good actors. Why would they be in this movie if they weren't a good actor?
Right.
But then you grow up and you watch these movies and you're like, who the hell let Keanu Reeves act in this thing? Who let him take a walk on these clouds?
Who told him he was nailing every scene? Nailed it. No notes. Let's move on.
Exactly. Walk in the Clouds is a movie that I watched a lot because of you guys.
Sorry.
Stars Keanu Reeves and this bitch has a long name.
Tatiana Sanchez something.
Yeah. Anthony Quinn is in this.
I don't know that we've ever seen her in anything else.
You're on IMDb her. Okay, let's see if this bitch ever did anything else. Oh, wait, she was in The Machinist, wasn't she? Christian Bale movie?
I don't know, dude. Well, anyway, this movie's post-war. Keanu Reeves is a soldier. He comes home to his wife fucking some guy. And then he takes off and he gets on a bus, and this chick is in distress in the bus. She happens to be pregnant. She tells him her sob story. Like, I'm going to go home to this traditional family. My father's going to kill me, dude. I'm pregnant. And the father is not in the picture. And I'm going to be disowned.
And you're leaving out that Keanu Reeves is a poor chocolate salesman.
Well, he's a soldier, dude. Okay.
And fucking Grace is making him go out, and Grace from Will and Grace is making him go out.
Deborah Messy.
Deborah Messy is forcing this patriot to go out and sell chocolate door to door as she gets plowed at home by somebody else,
like
right?
Like a French guy.
Well, there you go. Probably the very people that he was out fighting. Some fucking Frenchman came in and took his woman.
Yeah.
And then so he decides that he's going to fucking give it a shot with this poor... It's another if this happened to you kind of thing. This fucking this man just decides to save this woman.
Yeah, so he's just like, you know what, girl, let's pretend. Let's pretend that I'm your guy. At least you have someone to introduce to your family and be like, hey, remember that guy that I once brought home? Like, that's the father of my son.
Right.
But what happens? This is a tale as old as time.
Of course. I mean, they keep making this movie. The chocolate salesman just
falls in love with the pregnant chick.
On the bus, like, come up with new ideas.
Okay, this was pretty unique.
And then what ends up happening? You know what ends up happening, Lily?
What?
This woman straight up becomes the heir to what Keanu. And I don't mean like heir as in like heir to his fortune, or she becomes the air that goes into his lungs and lets him live. Okay.
She's like
the heir to me.
And granted,
she's so easy to love.
So
just
easy.
like it's so easy to act. It's easy to love her.
Stop, you're making me snort. It's not okay. I'm crying, dude. Thank God I just, didn't do anything, to my eyelashes.
Good.
Because I am crying this whole time. Look.
You don't even have anything to say.
She's like the heir to him.
Yeah.
He falls in love with her. He falls in love with the woman that she is. His wife never loved him.
Who has a bastard child in her.
It's true. And at some point, a winery goes up in flames.
Yeah. But there's still hope because the roots still good. Oh, and like her brother burns, and like then Keanu Reeves kind of
saves him. Right.
With wet t-shirts. If you guys don't want to watch it, I think we just gave you guys. But if this makes you want to watch it, please, guys, sit down, watch A Walk in the Clouds,
and tell us.
Just say, hey, a bunch of people got together and said, yes, let's make this shit, dude. I'll gather the money. Don't you worry. You just make sure that Keanu knows his fucking lines.
Oh, God.
Let's get the great actor Aiden Quinn to be in this, acting alongside Keanu Reeves, if you could call it that. He was how pissed off do you think that guy was when he was making this movie? He's like, what the fuck has become of my career? This is the guy? This is acting now? Like, what the shit?
I have no words. I just cannot. I cannot review chick flicks with you.
What happened? He must have asked himself. What happened to cinema? I used to be a great actor. The glory days. Film was great. Now
he has this great scene where he's like, I love my family.
Exactly.
Everything I do is for them. Mm-hmm. And then Keanu's like,
she's like there to me.
But why can't you love her? She's so easy to love. And yeah, if you really think about it, they probably only knew each other for a couple weeks. Tops.
Weeks? I think this movie takes place in a few days, doesn't it?
Oh, is it the Can't Buy Me Love time frame? Like a week? Give me a week?
It's been a while since we watched this movie, but I feel like in my memory, this movie takes place in like a couple of days, doesn't it?
Wow.
We need to rewatch it, or you rewatch it. Make Miles watch A Walk in the Clouds. He needs to suffer through that shit like I did.
Will. I know. Well, you said that to me recently. I was like, hey, let's go watch this chick flick. And you're like, fuck you. You have Miles now. Go make him watch this stupid chick flick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I will.
Exactly. You put me through many years of forcing me to watch these films. I served my nickel, you know?
Wow. Well,
Walk in the Clouds. Let's end on a
high note.
On a high note here, the same year, 1995. Another movie we watched a shitload of times. And I think it was 1995. You know why we watched this movie so much?
Why?
Because we had that box where we got all the pay-per-view for free.
Yeah.
So they were both on. We watched them so much because we had the pay-per-view. And we're talking about Clueless, of course.
Of course.
6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 76% audience score. This has to be like one of your absolutely favorite movies, is it not?
It's a cult classic, I think.
You fucking loved this movie.
Yeah,
you worshipped this movie.
I still do, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'll still watch it and feel the exact same way I felt when I was a 13-year-old girl watching this. And I watched it on pay-per-view because my friend was like, I really like this movie. Will you record it for me? And I said, sure. And when I was recording it for her, I watched it. Mm-hmm. And I never went back,
never went back?
I never went back. This movie kind of changed.
Much like Keanu Reeves went to that vineyard and probably never came back.
Yeah. No, this movie was, it changed things for me. It was so funny. And it's a silly movie about girls in high school, and there's like these like rich girls, right?
Yeah.
And they take in
white people problems.
But no, Dion was not white.
Okay, but she lived a white
life. Yeah. So, a lot of these one-liners, Paul Rudd is in it, as
they started your love with the Rudd man.
And I never went back.
No.
Right? Like,
you're right.
Paul Rudd has been the man, the leading man in my life, other than Brad Pitt, I think. And he's just so good in this. I mean, he's just like the condescending stepbrother that's just like, bitch, you are so full of yourself.
Right.
And they're just so silly. They're stupid, silly teenagers.
And so she's in high school, right?
Mm-hmm. 16.
And he's
in college.
Yeah. And this movie ends with
them together.
A rape?
No, you never see them get it on.
The implication of very soon to happen rape. That was acceptable in 1995.
Well, it's a little out there. I mean, the stepbrother, you fall in love with your stepbrother. I mean,
again, this is a whole category on Pornhub.
Material.
This movie was directed by Amy Heckerling, who also directed Fast Times at Richmond High, which is also a fucking fantastic film. Yeah, this movie's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It holds up. Like, I watched it not that long ago, and it is a really funny movie. It's got Brittany Murphy in it, R.I.P.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where Brittany Murphy got her start. Alicia Silverstone had already had her start, but this is really what put her on the map.
Right. Stacey Dash
didn't really do much after this, but she was brilliant in this. And Donald Faison,
come on, Turk himself, the scrub man.
Dude, he's so good in this. And it's like one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when he explains to the girls that Christian is gay.
Right.
He's a cake boy.
You know what I love?
She's like, I think he's falling in love with me. And then he just turns around and he's like, are you bitches crazy? Like, your boy's a cake boy. Like he's the one that like he grounds them, and it's so hilarious.
Yeah. movie also stars Breckenmeyer. He's hilarious. Jeremy Sisto.
I mean, to this day, I feel like I can quote his speech for like having the most tardies in the class.
So good.
It's so good. And it's so relatable.
He's like he wants to take my parents for never giving me a ride to school.
And then he thanks the LA bus line for taking a chance at an unknown kid. And last but not least, the incredible crew of McDonald's for making those delicious Egg McMuffins, without which I might never be tardy.
It's so funny because he's like it's
an acceptance speech.
He's trying to tell like dude, you have the most tardies. And he gets up like it's an honor.
So like people are clapping for it.
He's like, oh my god, I didn't prepare his speech. But he pulled it out of the bag.
And he nails it. And it's a little bit about forbidden love, like he's like this stoner boy that falls in love with Ty, and they're trying to make her a goody two shoes.
Yeah, so they were like, yeah, you can't
date this boy. You can't
date this guy. And then Jeremy Sisto tries to, force himself upon Cher. Right. So a lot of lessons.
And their names are so great, like Cher, Dion, Elton.
Elton, can you suck?
God, Elton, can you suck? I mean, we can go all day. This movie for me is 10 out of 10.
It's a great movie. Yeah, this is one of the funniest. So many funny things. Also, like when she accidentally gets on the freeway, how they freak out. That's fucking comedy gold.
Like she's learning to drive. It's like the typical girl not knowing how to drive, and she fails her driving test, and she crashes into a car. And she's like, "Should I ride?"
Shouldn't even know.
No, like at least she knows the rules.
Right. Great movie. Maybe, we'll have to do an episode on this movie someday too, because it's near and dear to our hearts. But again, you know what? We only got a little bit through the 90s on this one, but we'll come back. Who knows when we'll come back to these, but me and Lil will probably keep adding movies to this list, and just look forward to some chick flick talk on the Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour. And
he's gonna ruin them for you guys, just so you know.
I'm just telling you like it is. It's my deal. Anyways, we need to wrap this up. Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you follow us on all of the social medias, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, all of that. Spotify, give us some likes. Fucking share some love with us. We're trying very hard.
We are. Shout out to Bono, who couldn't be here today.
Yeah, but he'll be back. He'll be back for that Legends of the Fall episode, because I can't wait for him to watch this movie and hear his thoughts.
I'm going to say this now. He usually agrees with me.
I don't think so. Anyways, make sure you listen to all the shows on the network. We're brought to you by Salad Bites Media each and every episode. So go and give our producer Ozzy a little love out there. And Lil, you got anything else?
Can't wait. I can't wait to keep going.
You can't hardly wait.
I can't hardly wait.
I feel it. It's going to be one fine day.
One fine day. We're gonna
we might be fools that rush in.
We're going to tell the truth about cats and dogs.
But today is my best friend's wedding, and I think that's as good as it gets.
It's as good as it gets. It's picture perfect, guys.
I think there might be a wedding singer. I don't know.
And there might be something about Mary.
There is. Anyways.
All right.
Sayonara, Sammy.
Electro and Bono Movie Power.